The ancient Babylonians are people that are bathed in mystery and myths. They are supposed to be the first engineers, first astronomers, mathematicians, and the first financiers. To be honest, the reason for this is probably because they are one of the first places that actually wrote down what was happening. In any case, if you want to seem like you're passing on lost and ancient knowledge, using the mythical Babylonia as a backdrop is a great idea. The book, The Richest Man in Babylon, does just that. It gives 7 rules on how to create wealth, or, as they refer to it, 7 cures for a lean purse, using the self-made Arkad, a scribe who became the richest man in Babylon, as the guru. The lessons that the wise Arkad teaches us are very relevant today, and I'm gonna give you my summary of this famous book and the lessons he's teaching us. Seeing as the ancient Babylonians said die instead of death, we're gonna be using a lot of unnecessary whys in the next section. I apologize for this, but this is how the book's written, so I thought I'd share it with you as well. So the 7 cures are as follows. 1. Start thy purse to fattening. 2. Control thy expenditures. 3. Make thy gold multiply. 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. 5. Make thy dwelling a profitable investment. 6. Ensure a future income. 7. Increase thy ability to earn. For the first advice, start thy purse to fattening. Arkad says he found the road to wealth when he decided that a part of all that he earned was his to keep. And in order to achieve wealth, so must you. To this you might reply, but all I earn is mine to keep, is it not? Arkad would then reply, far from it. Do you not pay the garment maker? Do you not pay the sandal maker? Do you not pay for the things you eat? Can you live in Babylon without spending? You pay to everyone but yourself. You labor for others. You might as well be a slave and work for what your master gives you to eat and wear. What Arkad is talking about is wage slavery, where you need to survive on your paycheck every month in order to survive to the next month. In order to break that cycle, you need to start saving for yourself. Arkad's cure for this is to take 10% of your paycheck. 1/10 of everything when you get paid must go to yourself. You must save that for yourself. Once we start doing this, once it becomes almost second nature to us, to every time we earn something, we save it, we start to accumulate some wealth that we then have something to work with. Control thy expenditures. Learn the difference between necessary expenses and your desires. You must also learn to guard against increasing your expenses, because they will always grow equal to our incomes unless we make a conscious effort. So for you, you need to create a budget and analyze how much you're spending, split it into necessary expenses and your desires. Other books and other budgeting tools usually define these as wants and needs. Needs are usually what is your basic living expenses, like rent, mortgage, utility bills, healthcare, medication, food, commuting, these kinds of things. Wants are kind of things you'd choose, but you can definitely live without them. There are things like entertainment, dining out, travel, electronic, like new phone, these things, like streaming accounts, subscriptions, you know. With this, you can then see if you're living within your means. Are your expenses reasonable? If you aren't living inside your means, why is this? You need to review this. You need to understand why this isn't the case. And it's generally easier to reduce your expenses than increase your income. So reduce your expenses until you are at a stable point. And a stable point can be defined as when your expenses make up enough for you to pay for the necessities in your life, to pay for your enjoyments, and to gratify your worthwhile desires, without spending more than 90% of your earnings. Because remember, 10% is always fattening your purse. Make thy gold multiply. Arkad says, I tell you, my students, a man's wealth is not in the coins he carries in his purse, it is the income that he buildeth. The golden stream that continually floweth into his purse, and keepeth it always bulging. This is what every man desireth. It is what thou, each one of thee, desireth, an income that continueth to come, whether thou work or travel. So in addition to just keeping 1/10 of everything you earn, you must learn to invest it wisely. You must make your money work for you so they don't just sit in your bank account. So invest it wisely and make that investment compound. And in the words of Benjamin Franklin, which it's not featured in the book, but he speaks about compound. He says, money makes money, and the money that money makes money. The second part of Arcade's quote about an income that comes whether you work or travel can today be classified by the buzzword passive income. Passive income is really defined as an income with very little active work from your side. So having a passive income is a great way to increase the income that you have. Some examples of passive income is getting royalties from a book, a rental property, dividends from stocks, and so on. Guard thy treasures from loss. If an investment seems too good to be true, it probably is. Invest with full knowledge of what you're investing in and understand it, as the penalty of risk is a probable loss. Make also sure that it's easy for you to pull out if it goes sour. As a side note, this is very similar to the advice of Max Günther in the Swedish Axioms, which I did a summary of, which you can find right here. Make thy dwelling a profitable investment. Basically, own your home. Ensure a future income. Make sure you have an income when you can no longer work or no longer want to work, something you can retire on. Increase thy ability to earn. The process that wealth is accumulated is first in small sums and then in larger ones as a man learns more and becomes more capable. So you must learn to cultivate your own powers, to study, to become wiser, to become more skillful. Basically, this talks about compounding yourself, not just the earnings, not just your incomes, but actually your skills and your skill sets. So don't start by saying that you want to be a billionaire. Start by having more concrete goals that you can reach. So you can accumulate these smaller sums first, and then once you get smaller sums, you can start to look at the bigger goal. In addition to the 7 cures for a lean purse, Arcade also talks about the 5 rules of gold, which focuses more on how to protect your wealth and how to invest it wisely. I won't really go over all of these 5 laws of gold because there is a lot of overlap between these laws of gold and the cures for a lean purse. Apart from Arcade, the book uses some additional characters to explain some concepts of wealth. The first additional character, the gold lender of Babylon, says that better a little caution than great regret. The moral of this story is always to be cautious, to do your homework and to have a margin of safety. The gold lender of Babylon keeps items of his customers so that in case they cannot pay the gold back, he has some collateral for this. The walls of Babylon. We cannot afford to be without adequate protection. Using the walls of Babylon to explain the concept that everyone falls on hard times, so you need to make sure that you have a safety net and something to rely on. Basically, the story that's used is that Babylon is invaded, but the walls protect the city from the invaders. So be like Babylon, build a wall around you and your wealth for protection. The camel trader of Babylon. Where the determination is, a way can be found. Setting a goal and having something to strive for is explained by using the story of a man who goes from a slave to being wealthy. The luckiest man in Babylon. The moral here is that fortune favors men of action, and opportunity arises often for men who are willing. The main takeaways from this book and the core of Arcade's advice is around paying yourself first, that you always need to pay a part of everything you earn, you need to devote to yourself. And in order to pay yourself 1/10 of all your earnings, you need to learn to live within your means and spend the money on what's really important for you. You should also work for long-term wealth, and long-term wealth is achieved by compounding, both compounding your savings and your earnings, but also yourself and your skill set. You shouldn't take unnecessary risks, and you should have a margin of safety as well. The final takeaway is also try to be a man of action. Do not procrastinate. Do something. So thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something today.